Noon. It's afternoon for me here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I am Dr. Elena Sherwood. I have a YouTube channel here, obviously, and I enjoy meeting the people who need the advice I'm given. I've been giving, you'll have to pardon me, it's been a little while since I've done a live. So if you're catching this on a replay, stick around because today I'm going to be answering some questions that I get often as a relationship coach. Who am I? I'm Elena. I was a couples therapist for 35 years. Man, that is a long time. Anyway, I retired my license a few years ago because I really just wanted to talk about the things that I've seen work and that do not. Just as a side, I've also been married to the same man for coming up on 33 years this spring, 33 in May. So it's a long time, plus a couple of years together in addition. So anyway, I take the advice I give here, the insights I provide are, of course, based on both. So I'm eager to leave what I do know in my head on this planet. And so today I'm going to answer a few of the questions. And if you are here and you come up during the live and have some questions, feel free to post them. And I will get to them as soon as I could, probably immediately. And if you're catching this later and you do have a question, feel free to comment and I will also answer those. I do my very, very best to be thorough in looking at all the comments preferably in all of my videos that I put out. Anyway, question number one that I'm going to start with. All right, where's my list? As you know, my audience, by the way, is married women who are in relationship survival mode. Now, many people are asking me, why is it only for women? To be honest, it's good for everybody, but it is usually the women who come asking me questions. So I've sort of channeled my channel to that. So here's the first question I have. How do I know if I'm overreacting or if something is actually wrong in my relationship? This is a big question because many of us hear a lot of things about what a relationship should be and should not be. We've been told it. We've watched many. We know many of them as colleagues, as a community person. And so it's very easy for us to assume that something is wrong. When my goal is to give advice that doesn't cause panic. Thank you for the hi. And the first thing I'm going to say is it's possible that something is a little bit wrong because there is something perfectly imperfect about all relationships. What I do worry about is when we jump too closely, we jump too hard, drawing conclusions about something being really wrong. So is it normal for couples to fight? Yes. You have two different brains, which means you are going to see the world two different ways. And maybe you are, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for everybody coming in. I'm answering relationship questions today. If you have one, feel free to post them in the bottom. And I see some of you are some of my fans. So thank you. I am so glad you're here. I would not be live and I would not be producing on YouTube if it weren't for you. Okay, so back to the question. How do I know if I'm overreacting or if something is wrong in my relationship? We are normal human beings who will react. Emotions are normal. When people say, you're too emotional, well, my husband, bless his heart, he's a science and mechanical mind. And a couple of times he said, you're too emotional. And a couple of times I've looked at him and said, well, I think you're too flat, you flatline, mood-wise. And so this is what I'm saying is there is something normal about having emotions. Sometimes our emotions get worse when we are not being heard, when we feel we are not being validated, when we feel we are being misinterpreted, that it's normal for us to kind of get really, really, really frustrated by that. we got to cut our partners some slack because not all of them know what to do with us having a lot of emotions. So what I would look for more is a pattern. Is your partner, boyfriend, husband always pushing you aside when you have these big feelings and then never coming back to talk about them, even when things are calm? And so I look for a pattern of being pushed away and being dismissed regularly. A few times, once in a while, yes, but if that is always, then I would say that something is wrong. And I do have a video on that about how to tell if you are in an emotionally abusive relationship. All right, I got some comments here, thank you. I tend to draw conclusions about my daughter's boyfriends and dislike them. I would consider that normal. You're her mom. You're gonna wanna protect her. And it might be also that either, it might be that I say this with respect and with kindness. Sometimes we bring our own relationship ideas into the ones of our children, the ones that we are observing. Maybe that's happening, maybe that isn't. It's also possible that your daughter is in an earlier stage where she's still just kind of not playing the field, but, just kind of getting to know what is good for her and what isn't, and what she likes and what she doesn't like. So there will be a lot of sort of trial and error in this. And so my suggestion to you, you didn't ask for it, but, I'll give it to you anyway. Be very, very patient. And before you give advice or opinions, ask your daughter permission for you to give it first, just in case she might be the way I was when I was younger and dating, that I didn't want anybody else's opinion. But she may be wanting it from you, in which case offer. So again, if she says, none of your business, go away, I'm not ready for that, respect that and just let her know that you are available for your input should she choose. So that's a great question, by the way. All right, let me see this. There's another question here about how to control stress. Stress which reduces the emotions. How to control stress. Stress which reduces the emotions. Can you give me a little bit more on that? I really want to give you something that's useful. If you're talking about how to reduce your own stress level and calm yourself down because of your intense emotions, am I reading that right? The reality is life is stressful. We're going to get all kinds of things happen that are going to, get us upset. And it could be that we are extra upset because we are something as simple as we are tired. We are hungry. We have neglected our own physical and mental and emotional and spiritual well-being, whatever that might mean to you. So that could be many different things. If you age, question. I'm not sure what that means, so feel free to give me a little bit more on what you mean by age. What do you want to know about my age? Okay, so in terms of controlling stress, sometimes you are in a very stressful season. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's a new relationship. My age. Oh my God, what? Well, I am 59 and proudly, happily, healthily. Sometimes we are in a stage of our life where things are just stressful and they are getting to us. Sometimes we have just not taken very good care of ourselves enough. So my easiest solution, the quickest one, whether it hits what you're looking for or not, is give yourself some moments for yourself, where you just give yourself some time to breathe and reflect on what is happening for you. Because sometimes that's what we need the most, is to just get really real with some of these intentional pauses that our body and our mind need. Love from India. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Your age very young. Yeah, I mean, some days I behave like a 5-year-old, so I do feel quite young. Thank you. Thanks for your suggestions. Good. I'm really doing my best here. I have a bunch of questions I can go through if nobody has any other questions. But if you do, please feel free to pose them. This is why I am live, so I could be of help to someone. But I have brought some of the questions also that are the most common ones that I get. All right. So I'm keeping an eye. All right. If he's not abusive, why do I feel so anxious and small around him? This is more common than many people will realize. It's that it isn't that somebody is mean to us, but maybe somewhere in the way our lives have been, we have learned to live small. And we have learned to be scared in some way of intimacy, of closeness, of people in general, because this is what can happen depending on where life is and what kind of environment, what kind of teachings, what kind of climates we grew up in. So sometimes I have actually worked with many people who believe they are in abusive relationships. And when we looked at things closely, they weren't. Maybe there was some stressful periods. Maybe there were maybe some immature behavior, but I wouldn't have called it emotionally abusive. And so, but what I did see is somebody who was just generally, who has been told all her life to be quiet about herself, to live small, to not talk too loudly, to not talk at all until she's spoken to, and to not have any feelings or emotions. So that's one of the reasons that's one of the questions about if he's not abusive, why do I feel so anxious and small around him? It might mean that you were taught to feel and be small somehow, somewhere in there. All right, so let me see if I missed any questions. All right. I'm not seeing any right now. I'm seeing some lots of comments. Thank you. And I appreciate that you guys are here, by the way. And again, if you have anything that I can answer, please let me know. I'm on to my next question. Suggest some book regarding life change technique. Life change technique. That's a big topic. If we're talking about just adjusting to life as it goes, I can't think of a book specifically right now for that. My quick advice on that is to just learn to adapt as best you can. I heard a quote the other day and I loved it, where it said, information is the antidote to fear. So if you are fearing something, it's quite possible that what you are missing is information. So if you are in a change of life is changing for you and it's difficult, then find out more information about what that is. And what I mean by that is, for example, life changes. You're getting married. You got married. And yes, you love this person, but man, this is hard. Now you're going to sign mortgage documents or, talk about shared money and how we're going to do this and all of that. And so with everything that is glorious comes some kind of hidden stresses. And so what do? You get more information about how you can. And by information, I mean the two of you just sit down and talk about what you are expecting from each other on these fronts. Instead of saying, I don't want to be taken advantage of. I don't want my partner to be, expecting me to do everything or, talk about your expectations. That's the information I'm suggesting, is get informed. I hope that helps. All right. Absolutely. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. All right. Next question I'm going to ask is, another common question I get. And for those of you just come in, and feel free to pose a question, and I will answer them as they come in, as soon as I can. So here's a question I get a lot. Is it normal to feel lonely even though I'm married? Yes. Being married does not resolve all our inner wounds, all our little issues, all our little heartaches from the past. Many people come into marriage or come into committed relationships believing that this is now the antidote that my life has always needed, and now he completes me, and now we will live happily ever after. There is no such thing. Reminder, 32 years married here and plus 35 years of working with people. I'm not saying there's no such thing as happily married or peacefully married, but none of it comes without the hard work of learning to solve problems together and of sorting crap out. And so is it normal to feel lonely sometimes? Yes, because sometimes you will not be understood in the way that you need, in the way that you crave, in the way that your inner heart desires. Let's not go straight to there must be something wrong with your partner. I wouldn't go there. I would go with something is not jiving here, and we're going to have to figure out how this is going to work. Let's talk about it. Now, a little bit of side information here. I am very, if after marriage women need to depend, husband is good or bad if the woman came from village culture. I think a lot of these questions are based, again, on what your situation and what your culture is. And so I can't dare, I have no right to speak to, what works and what doesn't. But, I think this is important that, for some, this is how it goes, right? I mean, I come from the Philippines. There are a lot of preconceived notions about what happens after marriage. And so some of it I question, some of it I don't. So in some, that could be the norm, is that there is now financial dependence. And I don't want to call it that, because I've always believed that marriage is team. It's a team. Okay. Did I say what I needed to say on that? I think I did. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to comment, and we'll go there. All right. Why do I keep explaining myself and still feel completely misunderstood? This is a big one. We seem to think sometimes that if we try harder and harder and harder, somebody will get what we're giving them. But sometimes the solution isn't to try even harder. Sometimes what you need for your mental health and your own body is to just sort of relax a little bit and say, I have done my best right now, today, to get through to my partner. I've done what I can today. And it's okay to say to yourself, it's okay to stop here. Thank you for the thumbs up. It's okay to say, I'm not going to get through to her right this minute, and that's okay. It's not because I'm not speaking loudly or clearly or effectively enough. We are at an impasse where we don't have a solution. I've also come to believe that sometimes I've got two beliefs I was going to talk about there, and I sure hope I remember the other one. But the first one is, what was I saying? Okay, about the harder we try, why do I keep explaining myself and still feel completely oh, here we go. Okay. Sometimes relationships don't fall apart because they don't love each other anymore. Sometimes they fall apart because there are some skills that are missing. That's all relationships, by the way. All of us come into this with some missing skills on how to do relationships well. The problem comes when one or both are not interested in learning those new skills. And what I mean by that is maybe I need to learn how to be a better listener. Maybe my husband needs to learn how to just speak up and say what he means so I don't have to sit there pulling teeth and drawing conclusions myself. Maybe we both need a way to, not yell at each other or stop holding things in, whatever it is. What we need to do sometimes is learn the skills we are missing. And that's when relationships fall apart, is when one or both are unwilling to learn that new skill that they need. All right. I think that's the same comment we got earlier. Okay, so that's why. I don't know if that answers it. Correct. Thank you. So I don't know if that sort of touched it, but that's kind of where, I never know where my old retired brain, clinical brain will go some days. But anyway, how long am I supposed to be patient before it starts costing me? So this is about people who are having a difficult time in their relationships, and they're really doing time, so to speak, and waiting for things to, it is costing you. Let me answer that second part first. It's costing you too much when your body is starting to show it. That might mean things like you're just not sleeping, your anxiety is high, your moods are everywhere, or you're just flat, or you're up and you're down, and they're just this way or this way. Or you're always high because that's kind of the only place that you could be. Another one, maybe you're starting to get these pains where, you go to your doctor and you say, I've got this thing, and you got this thing, and your doctor's like, I don't know how else to help you. We've tried this and we've tried that, and all of that. And it could be that you can't concentrate very well, or you're eating too much, you're not eating enough. So there are many signs, and you just feel like, oh man, I got to go to the doctor again, and all of that. That could be. Not always. Obviously, there's the real medical conditions are real, but sometimes there is a manifestation physiologically to the mental stress brought on by the relationship. That's costing you too much. That's when I would really say we gotta have a really big look at what's going on here. It's not time for patience. It's time for more information on what will be good for you moving forward. I hope that helps. All right. I will answer one more, and do let me know if you have any questions for those coming in and out. Here we go. Where'd it go? What if nothing terrible is happening, but nothing is getting better either? That may boil down to what you are both. This is a tricky one, because how to balance work and family. That's a good one too. Okay, you're here, and I'm gonna answer your question. How to balance work and family. I would say always, I used to work with military soldiers closely, and many of them will say, my family is my top priority. But then there they were working overtime and not saying no to places where they could say no, and all of that. So does what they're saying really reflect what their actual time is manifesting? So basically you say, yeah, they're my family, they're my priority, but then you come home late every time. There are seasons where that is what will happen for you, but not all the time, and it will just get down to what are you doing to make the family time happen. And I think the balance part can be a difficult one when you get too caught up into your work environment, and then you forget. It's not that you forget. So I would rely heavily on listening to what your partner, what your husband, what your wife is trying to tell you. Pay attention to what your kids are needing from you, and make sure you have enough energy in your tank to be present for them. So it is also about physical and mental presence to these people you say you love. All right. For my young age, I need money that only future family, but family will not understand how to convince. Again, it may not, again, there might just be keep talking to your family. And make sure that when you are home, when you are with them, you talk to them and you pay close attention to them. Don't be don't be the parent who says, I care about my kids, but you're impatient with them. And so, talk to your spouse, talk to your wife, talk to your husband, and be very clear about where you're at and check how they feel about it. This is one thing that I noticed when I worked closely with the military couples, is that a lot of the wives, what they said is, it doesn't really matter that when there's a decision to be made, it doesn't matter to me that it has to end up going his way. But what really matters is that I know he heard me and he paid close attention to what my worries and what my fears and what my issues were. And he did everything to accommodate those. I could see his efforts. He wasn't just saying it, I could feel it. So actions and words matching, and paying very, very close attention to what your loved ones need from you. All right. I think I have answered enough questions for today because my throat is telling me so. Okay, one more. How do I stop walking on eggshells without blowing everything up? Whoa, what? You think I made a video on this? There are many ways to do it, and I can't rhyme off of my head exactly the tools that I talked about, but there are ways to not live small in a relationship. And so please check out that video. I will put it in the bottom. I will link it because I couldn't possibly do it justice right now, but there are 3 different things that a person can tackle on how to do it. And so make sure I will put it in I'll put it in the comments if I can. I'm not sure I can, but I'll try. Anyway, thank you so much for you who have stuck around this long. Thanks from India. You are most welcome. And I'm going to try and come live more often, at least once a week, maybe more. I'll come up with a schedule. Anyway, thank you very, 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 very much. If you're not one of my subscribers, feel free to do so. I give brand new content every week. Thank you. Thank you.